And what if I told you the biggest thief of dreams isn't a lack of talent, or a lack of money, or even bad luck? The real enemy hides in silence, disguised as a phrase you repeat every day. I'll start tomorrow. That tomorrow that never comes is the most subtle poison there is. Because while you say it, your heart knows time is running, that every minute you postpone is one less brick in the building of your destiny. Napoleon Hill called it indecision, the silent cancer of those who could have reached the summit but got trapped in waiting. Decades later, Brian Tracy boiled it down to a brutal formula. Eat that frog first. Do the hardest, most uncomfortable, most decisive task, and the victory starts to tilt in your favor. The question is, how many of your dreams are still alive, but in a coma, waiting for you to decide? How many projects did you bury under the excuse of someday? Today, I want to give you a code, a formula that fuses the best of Napoleon Hill and Brian Tracy, so you can destroy procrastination at the root and activate the power of massive action. And if you made it here, it's not a coincidence. You're on the Napoleon Hill Code, a space where we reveal hidden secrets from great minds and translate them into clear steps for your life. If you feel this message is for you, stay until the end, because what I'm about to reveal can mark the before and after you've been waiting for. The hidden enemy has been exposed. Now we're going to rip it out by the roots. In 1908, a young journalist named Napoleon Hill received a mission that seemed insignificant. Interview magnate Andrew Carnegie, the richest man of his time. Hill had no idea that conversation would change not only his life, but the lives of millions. Carnegie revealed a secret. Success is not a mystery, it's a science. And this science can be learned, applied, and taught. Napoleon Hill took that sentence like a divine assignment and spent more than 20 years studying the most powerful men of his era: Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Alexander Graham Bell, Charles Schwab, and many others. From those interviews was born an immortal work, Think and Grow Rich. A book not just about money, but about the mental and spiritual structure of success. There, Hill identified 13 timeless principles, and one of the most powerful was this: indecision is the mortal enemy of progress. Napoleon Hill observed that all great leaders had something in common. They made decisions quickly and rarely backed down. Edison didn't wait for guarantees to invent the light bulb. Ford didn't wait for the world to believe in automobiles. They acted and corrected along the way. Napoleon Hill summed it up in an uncomfortable truth. People who don't make decisions quickly rarely make decisions at all. Think for a moment. How many opportunities passed right in front of you because you didn't dare to say yes or no at the right time? How many trains stopped waiting for you because you were too busy analyzing the map? Napoleon Hill discovered that procrastination isn't simple laziness. It's fear in disguise, fear of failing, fear of the unknown, fear of other people's judgment. But he also discovered that when a person ignites a burning desire and combines it with faith, that fire consumes fear and clears the way for action. He wrote it forcefully: "The one who postpones a decision is condemned to live by other people's decisions." And here's the key. If Hill gave us the philosophy of burning desire and firm decision, someone had to come decades later to show us how to turn that spark into a daily action plan. That someone was Brian Tracy. Decades after Hill, a man appeared who didn't speak from the libraries of magnates, but from raw street experience. His name was Brian Tracy. At 20, Tracy was a laborer with no college degree, no money, and heavy jobs that seemed to lead nowhere. He didn't have a powerful network or a last name that opened doors. but he had a question that wouldn't leave him alone. Why do some people achieve so much, while others barely survive? That question led him to read compulsively, to study great thinkers, including Hill, and to test things in his own life. And what he discovered was brutally simple. Success is directly related to your ability to act immediately on what matters. Tracy condensed this idea into a principle that became famous worldwide. Eat that frog. The metaphor is clear. If the first thing you do each morning is eat a frog, everything else that day will feel easier. That frog is the hardest task, the most uncomfortable one, the one with the biggest impact on your future. While Hill taught us that a burning desire must turn into a firm decision, Tracy shouted that this decision must be executed on today's calendar, not tomorrow. His style was practical, direct, almost surgical. He said, "If you don't do the most important thing first, you probably won't do it at all." Now I want you to stop for a moment and think, what's your frog? That call you've been postponing for months? That project you know could change your life, but you keep hiding behind excuses? Or maybe that uncomfortable conversation that could set you free? Tracy didn't just talk about productivity. He talked about personal liberation. For him, discipline wasn't punishment. It was the bridge between dreams and results. And when you combine that with Hill, magic happens. Burning desire becomes immediate action. Because here's the truth. You don't need more motivation. You need a system. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment. You need to take the first step, even if your voice shakes. And just as Hill fed on the giants of his time, Tracy left us a universal tool. Start with the hardest thing, and your life will fill with momentum, clarity, and power. Ask yourself a hard question. How many times have you felt your life on pause, not because you don't want to move forward, but because there's always a perfect excuse to postpone what's essential? The truth is, procrastination is a silent thief. It doesn't arrive with noise. It doesn't destroy in one blow. It steals in installments, like an enemy disguised as comfort. It tells you, don't worry. Tomorrow, you'll have more energy. Tomorrow, you'll have more clarity. Tomorrow, it'll be easier. But reality is that tomorrow never comes. Every time you listen to it, something inside you dies. It's as if you placed one of your dreams in an invisible graveyard, an unwritten book, an unstarted business, an uncared-for relationship, a life that could have been, but got trapped in waiting. Hill warned us strongly. Indecision is man's mortal enemy. And Tracy confirmed it decades later. The most successful people do first what others postpone. Procrastination isn't laziness. It's fear dressed up as logic. Fear of failing. What if I start and I don't make it? Fear of judgment. What will they say if I mess up? Fear of the unknown. I'd better wait until I'm ready. But here's the paradox. You'll never be ready. The perfect moment doesn't exist. Total preparation is a mirage. And while you wait for it, the clock keeps ticking. Have you ever felt that pressure in your chest at day's end when you remember what you left undone? That mix of guilt and anxiety is the bill procrastination charges. And the worst part is, it compounds. One day, it's small tasks, but after a year, it becomes a wall of missed opportunities. Visualize it with me. Imagine a graveyard of dreams. Each headstone carries the name of a project you postponed. The book I was going to write. The business I was going to start. The trip I always said I'd take. The life I swore I'd give my family. Now tell me, how many graves would your cemetery have? It's tough, I know, but it's also liberating, because recognizing it is the first step to breaking the cycle. Look, procrastination doesn't just steal time, it steals identity. Because when you say, tomorrow, you're sending your subconscious a message. My dreams aren't important enough. And that message, repeated thousands of times, becomes your inner truth. That's why so many people live mediocre lives even though they have talent. Not because they can't, but because they let the habit of waiting kill their fire. And there's something deeper. Procrastinating is also a form of distrust, of God, of life, of yourself. It's like saying, Lord, thank you for the gift you gave me, but I don't dare use it yet. Tell me, do you think you were created to hide your light under the table or to set it up high and light the way? Let me be direct. Every day you postpone, you're training your mind to surrender. Every time you choose to act, you're training your mind for victory. There's no middle ground. Every decision strengthens one side or the other. That's why Hill said, "A man who doesn't make decisions quickly is destined to live under the orders of those who do." And Tracy reinforced it. If you don't do the most important thing at the start of the day, you probably won't do it at all. Today I'm asking you, what are you losing by waiting too long? Who do you owe the life you still don't dare to live? Which of your dreams deserves to be resurrected from the cemetery of excuses? Procrastination is a destiny killer. But here's the most powerful part. It's defeated with a single move. One step, one decision, one immediate action that breaks the chain. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you the code that unites Hill's strength with Tracy's discipline to do it. Get ready. What's coming can pull you out of that graveyard for good. We've exposed the enemy, procrastination. We've seen how it steals dreams, time, and identity. But every darkness needs a spark of light to dissolve, and that spark appears when we unite two forces that should never walk apart: Napoleon Hill's burning desire and Brian Tracy's immediate action. Hill carved it in stone. The starting point of all achievement is desire. Not just any desire, but a burning one. So intense it keeps you up at night, helps you endure criticism, and becomes your compass in the storm. But Hill also warned, desire without action is nothing but fantasy. You can fill notebooks with dreams, do hundreds of affirmations, but if you don't take the first step, they remain castles in the air. And this is where Tracy enters as the other piece of the puzzle. He taught, your success is determined by your ability to act immediately on what matters. Look how powerful this union is. Burning desire without action equals fantasy. Action without desire equals burnout. Desire plus immediate action equals transformation. That's the code, the formula that changes everything. Picture this. Hill places a lit torch in your hand, the symbol of your burning desire. That flame is your purpose, your faith, your vision of what life can become. But if you stand still, the torch burns itself out and dies. Then Tracy appears and hands you a compass. That compass represents the daily plan, immediate action, the do it now. When you unite Hill's flame with Tracy's compass, you don't just have fire, you have direction. And when you have direction, every step becomes progress. Every day becomes the construction of destiny. Ask yourself, how many times have you had the passion, but let it die because you didn't know where to start? And how many times have you worked hard, but without passion, until you ended up exhausted and empty? The code solves both. It says, ignite your desire with faith, Hill, and then order it into concrete daily actions. Tracy. Hill said, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Tracy completes it. What you plan, prioritize, and execute each day becomes your destiny. This is the moment where pain turns into power, where that graveyard of dreams starts to glow with one truth. None of your dreams are dead if you decide to act today. because every tomb of missed opportunity can become a seed if you understand the code. Look, you don't need to solve your whole life today. You don't need a guaranteed future. You only need two things. 1. A vision so clear it burns inside you. 2. The decision to take an immediate step, even a small one. That's the language miracles understand. Hill called it applied faith. Tracy called it daily discipline. You can call it the beginning of your new life. The code is right in front of you. The question is, will you activate it or keep waiting? You know the code. Desire plus immediate action equals transformation. Now let me give you the practical keys to activate it in your life, starting today. Not tomorrow. Not someday, today. 3 powerful steps blending Hill's wisdom with Tracy's discipline. Step 1. Write your desire in a single sentence and make it live every day. Hill insisted, a vague desire is a dead desire. Only a clear desire becomes wealth. That means it's not enough to say, I want to be happy, or I want success. That's smoke. You must give it a name, shape, and date. Example. Don't say, I want more money. Say, my goal is to earn $10,000 per month through my digital business before December 31st. Clarity is power. Scripture confirms it in Habakkuk 2:2. Write the vision and make it plain on tablets, that he may run who reads it. Here's your first task. Write your most important desire in a single sentence. Put it on paper, on your phone, somewhere you'll see it every day. And repeat it out loud, morning and night. Why? Because repetition engraves in your subconscious the certainty that this desire is real. Hill called it autosuggestion, speaking to your mind until the impossible becomes inevitable. Question for you. Do you already have your desire written down, or are you trusting your mind not to forget? Remember, the mind forgets. Paper doesn't. Step 2. Start the day with your frog, the hardest, most powerful action. Here's where Tracy comes in. He discovered procrastination attacks hardest in the morning when your energy is fresh. If you spend those first hours on small things, you've already lost the battle. That's why he created the golden rule. Eat that frog. Do the hardest thing first, and everything else feels lighter. How do you identify your frog? Ask yourself, which action, if I do it today, moves me fastest toward my goal? What am I avoiding because it's uncomfortable, but I know it's crucial? That's your frog. Example, if your goal is to launch a business, your frog isn't checking email, it's making the first sales call. If your goal is your health, your frog isn't watching motivational videos, it's lacing up your shoes and going for a run. If your goal is to repair a relationship, your frog isn't thinking about the conversation, it's dialing the number and talking today. Tracy said, if you don't do the most important thing first, you probably won't do it at all. And Hill would confirm it. A decided man acts quickly and rarely changes course. Imagine waking up tomorrow with a ritual. Instead of opening social media, you ask, what's my frog? And you do it in the first hour. You know what will happen? You'll train your mind for daily victory. Step 3. Each week, break one chain of procrastination. Here comes the most powerful fusion. Hill called persistence faith in motion. Tracy taught the weekly discipline of review, measure, and adjust. Your third step is a 30-minute weekly review ritual. Pick a fixed day, Sunday, Friday, or Monday, and review these 4 areas. 1. Goals. Am I advancing my burning desire? 2. Actions. Did I complete my main frogs? 3. Leaks. Where am I still procrastinating? Money, health, relationships, projects. 4. Decision. Which chain will I break this week? Let me be clear. We all have invisible chains. That uncomfortable conversation you never had. The debt you keep ignoring. That course you bought and never opened. Each week, cut one chain, just one. But do it. Because every broken chain releases energy and confidence. Picture this: a prisoner with shackles on his ankles. Every chain is a postponement. The more chains you accumulate, the slower you move. But each week you break one. You walk, lighter toward your destiny. I want to leave you 3 short mantras as daily reminders. 1. I write my desire. I see it. I live it. Hill. 2. I start with the hardest task, and the rest becomes easy. Tracy. 3. Each week I break one chain and move free. Hill plus Tracy. Repeat them as decrees. Write them in your notebook. Stick them on your wall. These mantras aren't pretty phrases. They're weapons for mental reprogramming. Which desire of mine deserves to be written today in a single sentence? What frog must I swallow tomorrow in the first hour? Which invisible chain will I break this week to move lighter? Imagine a calendar. Every day you mark a red X when you complete your frog. Every week you break another chain. And every month you look at your written desire. More alive, more real. That's the system. That's the Hill plus Tracy fusion. Not mystical, not far away. Practical, concrete, liberating. And if you apply it in just a few weeks, your life will no longer be a list of excuses, but a road under construction toward your destiny. Let me tell you a story that reflects this code in action. The story of an ordinary man who decided not to wait any longer. His name, Brian Tracy. At 20, Brian was practically invisible to the world. No college, no money, no contacts. He worked tough jobs, hauling boxes, cleaning, surviving day by day. Sometimes he went hungry. He had no clear path, no promising future. But he did have something. Questions that burned inside him. Why do some people achieve so much, while others barely get by? What do they know that I don't? One day, he made a decision that changed everything. He stopped waiting. Instead of lamenting what he didn't have, he focused on what he could do right then. He bought a second-hand sales book, read it with devotion, and applied every word the next day. He didn't wait to feel ready. He didn't wait for guarantees. He acted. That immediate action led him to outsell all his peers, then to become a sales manager, and later an international speaker, author of 80-plus books, and mentor to millions in more than 70 countries. What happened in between? The same code you're hearing now. A burning desire joined to immediate action. Brian never stopped writing his goals. He never stopped swallowing the biggest frog of each day. He never stopped reviewing weekly which chains he needed to break. And most importantly, he understood the perfect moment would never arrive. The secret was acting even with fear, even with doubts, even with butterflies in his stomach. Ask yourself now, how many times have you been waiting for motivation to show up, when in reality, all you needed was to take the first step? Remember this. It wasn't desire that transformed Brian Tracy. It was the decision to act before he felt ready. And if he could rise from nothing and build a global legacy, what's stopping you from starting where you are? Brian's story isn't a distant monument. It's a mirror. And maybe today is the day his story crosses yours, to remind you the power lies in your next decision. There's a moment when every strategy, technique, and tip falls short, and that's where faith enters. Hill called it the emotion of applied faith, that state where you don't just want, you believe with such intensity that your thoughts become living forces. With his practical style, Tracy translated it into daily discipline. Write, plan, and act as if victory were already inevitable. And the truth is, both were describing what was written centuries earlier. Write the vision and make it plain. Though it tarries, wait for it, because it will surely come. Habakkuk 2, 2 to 3. Faith is writing it. Action is living it. The result is seeing it manifest. Picture this. You take a sheet of paper and write your desire clearly. That page isn't just ink, it's a spiritual map. And every time you act, every time you eat your frog, every time you break a procrastination chain, you're walking that map toward the promised land of your purpose. The code isn't just productivity, it's practical spirituality. It's uniting the divine spark burning in your heart with the human discipline that moves your hands. And when both unite, nothing can stop you. Your life doesn't change tomorrow. Your life doesn't change in a month. Your life changes in an instant, in the exact moment you say, "Enough waiting. I start today." Hill gave us the fire of burning desire. Tracy gave us the compass of immediate action. Now that fire and that compass are in your hands. But remember, the flame dies if you don't walk. The compass rusts if you don't use it. The code is simple but powerful. Write your desire clearly. Start each day with the hardest thing. Break one procrastination chain every week. If you do this, soon you'll look back and realize you're no longer the same. The graveyard of dreams you carried will have become a garden of lived victories. Imagine this scene. You take one step today, even a small one, and suddenly a golden path begins to open in front of you. Each decision becomes a brick, each action, a light that shines farther, until one day, without noticing, you're no longer dreaming of the life you want. You're living it. And if this message resonated with you, don't leave it here. You're on the Napoleon Hill Code, a channel created to reveal these secrets and move you from inspiration to transformation. Subscribe and turn on the bell, because every video is a fragment of the code that can change your life. Now here's your challenge. Comment, "I start today," and share your first immediate action. I'm going to read and respond to the boldest ones, because in the end, the difference between dreaming and achieving lies in a single decision. And that decision can only be made by you.